Y'all get in here. Um, Hold on 1 second. Okay. So, without further ado, I will bring the lovely Kodi to the stage.
Hello.
What's going on, Kodi? How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, very well. It's a pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, this is a highly anticipated. I dropped a thumbnail earlier. Everybody was excited. I messaged you earlier and told you, man, people are hitting my line. They can't wait for this one.
That makes me so excited.
Good, great. So I mean, without further ado, Kodi, do you mind if I put your maybe put your Instagram in the banner on the bottom? So
No, that's okay.
That's cool. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I'm gonna do that here in a moment. But in the meantime, though, let's just get straight to it. We don't want to waste no time. So Kodi, so where are you from?
I'm originally from Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up out there. But I've been here in Oregon for a while, like 7 years now. So
7. Okay. Shout out to the great state of Texas. I love Texas.
I know I love Texas.
Yeah, I've only been to Austin maybe once. Yeah, just one time. But I love like DFW. That's like my second home. I love Dallas. I love Fort Worth. They actually got some. So I love the clubs out there too. If I'm out there, you can find me at Bucks Wild, Cab. You can find me at Baby Dolls. I love Baby Dolls, even though they don't got any poles. It's one of my favorite places still.
Oh, I've never been there. I've always said I would totally move back to Texas because they have everything. They just don't have weed. Once they make weed more federally legal, I'm back there.
Well, shit, if you're out there when I'm out there, I got some weed. Don't worry about that.
Okay, period.
For sure. So how was it though, growing up in Texas? Like how was it for you, like family life and stuff like that?
It was good. I was actually raised Mormon. My family was a very conservative, never drank, no parties. We were very religious. And so I think I had like kind of a pretty solid upbringing. Like the fact that I became a stripper, like it was never supposed to happen like that. I was the last person that anybody thought would become a stripper. But just growing up, I was just like a normal kid. I did orchestra, I did like sports and stuff like that. And then I liked growing up in Texas. It was really nice. I love the people there. I ended up moving away because my parents got divorced and it was my senior year. I'm like, okay, let's go get a change of scenery. So then I came out here.
So like orchestra, like you used to sing in orchestra? Or you used to play an instrument?
No, I played the upright bass, like the really big instrument, and bass guitar.
Okay, so like kind of like a cello looking type thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And you said you played sports. What type of sports did you play?
I did track, volleyball, wrestling, and softball.
Which one was your favorite?
Probably track, because I was just like everybody can be kind of naturally good at it. You get to pick your own little thing.
Right. That's cool. So like as far as school, you would consider yourself a pretty good student, or?
I was a very good student, 4.0. I already went and got my bachelor's degree in biology.
Okay.
Yeah, I had grants that put me through school, like academic grants. So I was a good student. I really liked school. I always just, especially when it was like high school and stuff, I always just thought like, there's got to be a way to cheat the system. Like if we're all here, then obviously it can't be that hard. Like they have literally everybody doing school. So you just got to get through it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good way to look at it, especially at that young. That's a mature outlook at it, But like, just straight to it. So what age were you when you got to Portland? Were you still in high school, or?
Yes, I was 18 when I came out here.
Okay.
And I loved it. Like when I got out here, it was just, I moved out here in July, so I didn't know that the weather was like really shitty most of the year. So when I moved here, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then I had to get used to the rain and stuff like that. But I love it up here. I love the people up here. I love the weed, the nature.
Yeah, that's the second time you brought up weed. You must be a real weed smoker.
I get a little shout out.
Yeah, it's all good. Man, that's crazy. Hold on. Somebody, Almighty C Book, he said you're related to Topanga. You know what Topanga is?
No, but everybody, I know who Topanga is. I've been getting that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fire. That's
I'll
fire.
take it though,
Topanga.
because Topanga's a baddie.
Yeah, hell yeah. I think that was all of our childhood crushes.
Yeah, our first crush, literally everybody, even me.
Straight up. Okay. So what got you into like dancing? So when you got to Portland, was that your first like exposure to like that lifestyle? Like
You know what's crazy is when I got out here, I didn't actually get into dancing until I was almost 21.
mm,
And because out here there's so many strip clubs, it was so like normal. Like you just knew people who like were a nursing during the day, but then also a stripper at night. And so like, you kind of realize that like anybody can do this job basically. So I don't know, when I first moved out here, I was never going to be a dancer. I kept it very clean. I was like a very goody two shoes. And then I was actually dating this guy back in like maybe it had to have been the end of 2016 because I started dancing in 2017. But at the end of 2016, I got cheated on, and my boyfriend at the time cheated on me with a stripper. And he had always been so like, oh, strippers are so slutty, like fuck, like whatever, the whole narrative that people have about strippers. And when he cheated on me with one, I was like, okay, so like we're just doing whatever then. And then that's when I finally decided to become a dancer. But really what the driving factor was for me was I couldn't afford my car payment at the time. I had just got a new car and like financed it. It was like a $300 car payment per month.
mm,
And I was about to be late on this car payment. And then at the time I was also friends with one of my childhood friends on Snapchat. And she's like out here dancing and like living her best life. She lived in a high-rise apartment, like just beautiful life for herself. And I was like, girl, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I'm a stripper. And I was like, oh, that's it. I'm sold. Like, I'm gonna become a stripper.
yeah. And so that since then there was just no turning back. It was just boom.
Yeah. I actually I used to work in a nursing home before I got into dancing. And so then when I first started dancing, my very first night, remember how I told you that I was trying to like make my car payment? My very first
Yeah,
night, I ended up making $350, which is exactly
exactly.
what I needed for my car payment. So
Okay. So yeah, that's
I was
destiny.
sold.
That's a sign. That's a sign.
Yeah, and
That's
then
a sign. It was meant for you.
it really was. I
Right.
picked it up really fast. Like I know that's probably not like the greatest thing to be like, oh, I picked up on stripping so quick, but it's a lot
So,
more to it than just taking your clothes off, you know?
right. Do you remember like vividly? Do you remember your first night? Like what was it like? Like do you remember your first audition? Like what club was it and things like that?
Um, my first audition, I think, was at Desire.
Okay.
No, it would have been Guilty Pleasures. So, Guilty Pleasures, that's in Northeast Portland.
Yeah, yeah.
The audition, like, I feel like it wasn't really fair. Like, I just walked in and they were just like, oh yeah, you don't have to audition, like you're hired. So it's like I didn't really get the nerves from the actual audition. But I remember my first night, like I didn't even know how to talk to people. I didn't know. I remember asking a dancer very vividly, how do you approach customers? She's like, well, I don't know. How do you talk to people like out on the street? And I just remember being like, not naked. I don't know. Like, I really don't know how to approach
Yeah.
people. Of course, that's before I knew that you should obviously be tipping girls for game and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I just remember being so nervous and also thinking like, what is good? Am I gonna like catch on fire? Like, is my soul doomed? Like, is my mom gonna hate me? And then I walked out. Everything was totally normal, and I was like, okay, it's not that
Yeah.
bad.
Okay. What was the first song what was the first song that you danced to on stage?
Or Nah by The Weekend, and you know
Or
what? I
not?
can't
Oh
even
shit.
listen. I can't even listen to it anymore.
No.
No,
Okay. That's
it like
fine. That's
ruined the
fine.
song for me.
Okay, that's cool. So, I mean, was it what you thought it was gonna be? Like, was it better? Was it better? Was it worse? Like, what you?
You know what it was? I think it ended up being a lot better than I expected, but I also think when you get into this type of career, it becomes what you make of it. So like if I got in with the intentions of like just partying and doing, and that's kind of what the intentions I went in with. Like I was just partying and going crazy for like the first 2 years. I feel like you know, you get to make your own experience out of it. It ended up being so much more than I thought it could have been. Like, I really thought that I was going to be like lost in the sauce, not have a good head on my shoulders. There was a lot of different ways that I thought it could have gone, but actually once I became a dancer and once I had like that first year under my belt, that's when I was like, oh, okay, like I got this. This is great.
Okay, that's what's up. So it took you a year. And so I hear that a lot, you know, like how you said you went in, it was kind of like partying, looked at it kind of like having fun. I hear that a lot. Do you see that a lot where like girls will start and then they're just kind of there to just like turn up and get drunk and then kind of at the end
All
of the
the
night they're
time. This
like
is
they're complaining like, oh, I didn't make any money.
I didn't make any money, but I've those are the same people. That's why I will not drink at work. And if I do
Mm,
drink, I'll buy my own drinks because, like, sometimes what happens is you'll get caught up with people, like a group of people, or just a customer, like a single customer, who has no intentions of spending money on you, but will drink with you. Like they just want a
mm,
drinking buddy, and so then you'll get caught in that where it's like, oh, well, I didn't make any money tonight, but at least I didn't have to pay for any of my drinks. Like my drinks were paid for. I got to party for free basically on someone else's tab. And that's a very dangerous mindset to get into when you're working because that's the thing. We're there to work and make money. So
right,
if you're just going and drinking and literally drinking all the money away,
right.
yeah. So I mean, you
Yeah.
do see that a lot. Yeah.
So okay, so you say you got those customers that do that. I've seen customers do that. They're like, I'm just here to get this girl drunk or whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times you get creeps that will try to do that and then get a dance and try to, you know, take advantage or whatever. So I have a question for you, and this is a question I haven't really asked many of the young ladies that have been on the Champagne Room, but just the curiosity because I got my demographic is mainly males from the ages of 18 to 45, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of them don't know what proper strip club etiquette is. And so I want to ask you, for me, I'm the type of customer. Am I a bad customer? Because
No.
I don't I like I'm not the type to where I don't really like to get private dances and things like that. But I'll definitely tip on stage. And I always hear girls say like, well, if you're not buying dances, like I've heard nobody's ever said it to me, but I've heard girls say like, well, if you're not buying dances, what are you doing here? If you just want to drink, go to the bar, you know. So like, what is proper strip club etiquette for men, or not just men, but just customers in general?
I think because there is people who don't want to go get a private dance. I love going to strip clubs and just spectating, watching, like seeing what the vibes are like, listening to music. Typically, I feel like strip clubs are a more inviting atmosphere than just going to a bar. So I can understand
Mhm.
why you would want to go to a strip club versus like a sports bar. Um, so like I think like you've come in before, great
Mhm.
customer. Like even though you're not gonna buy dances, you're still tipping the stage. You're very respectful. And I think that's like the most important thing when it comes to strip club etiquette is it's like if you have no intentions of getting dances, that's totally fine. But just like tip on stage a little bit, tip dancers if they're sitting and talking with you. And also, what I hate is when people are just not upfront. There's a lot of guys who will come in and they'll kind of like string you along and be like, no, I'll get a dance later. I'll get a dance later. Instead of just being like, no, I'm not getting any dances tonight. Like, I feel like just being straight up with us and just being like, no, I don't want to get a dance. Or even I'd rather get a dance from someone else. I don't give a fuck. We're all
Right.
there to make money. So just being like honest. And then also like, what happens at our club a lot is there's like walls of chairs that are up really close to the stage, but they're not like next to the stage. So people sit there and then don't tip, but you're like
Right.
literally staring up into my cervix. So it's like maybe a couple dollars here and there might be a little nice.
Yeah. Right, right. Yeah, I see that a lot. Those are just, you know, just spectators watching and haven't put any money. That's crazy. So kind of taking a step back though, does your family, honestly, I know you said you grew up Mormon. Does your family, parents, you know, siblings, aunties, uncles, do they know that you dance?
So when I first started dancing, I actually convinced everybody that I was just like the VIP hostess at a club. I was like, oh,
Uh,
I'm not even a dancer. And then I think it was my older sister. She like went through my closet. I was still living with my family at the time. Kept it very under wraps. I also was working in a nursing home, so
mhm.
it wasn't abnormal for me to be gone like super crazy hours and get home at like 6 a.m. or something like that. So I was just saying that I was still working at the nursing home. But then when my older sister, she ended up going through my closet or something. She ended up seeing that I had like a bunch of cash, and she brought that to my mom's attention. And then my mom was like, what are you doing for all this cash? My mom was like worried, and I was like, no, I'm just like the host at a strip club, like whatever. And it was kind of rough waters, not so much with my mom, but with my dad at first. I think he was very like blaming himself, like, where did I go wrong? And I was like, Dad, you couldn't have done anything different. Like, this is just probably the path that my life was going to go anyway. But then I don't remember. I really don't know what it was. I think it was like I was making too much money that my mom was like, there's no way a VIP hostess is bringing home this much money every single week. And so I finally ended up just telling everybody. And I'm very open. Like, if any of you guys are on TikTok or Strip Talk, like, I'm very open. I talk about my job. So there's no hiding it. Everybody knows.
Right. And so did it, like, how does your pops take it now? Like, is he still kind of, or does he just accept it now?
It's very like, don't ask, don't tell. Like, he knows what I do for work. You know, he'll ask like, have you been being safe? Like, is everything okay? But he'll never ask like the specifics, doesn't care about what a shift at work for me is like. My dad also does still live in Texas, so I don't have to worry about that, like running into him or, you know, anything like that. But we kind of just pretend.
And how about your sister? I know you said she was the one who kind of started finding your bread. Like,
she's cool now. I think it was because at the time I was living at home with my parents, and my older sister felt like I was like mooching off of them when I really didn't need to be. So once I moved out of my parents' house and everything, me and all my siblings are like mad close. And that's my older sister, the one that like snitched on me. And then I have a younger sister as well, who's like literally my best friend. So
what about her? So like your younger sister, how does she feel about it? She doesn't care. Like, she just loves you regardless, right?
She loves me regardless. And like we came from like not very much growing up. So it was like when I started dancing, that's when my little sister could be like, I really want Jordans for Christmas, or I really want this for Christmas. And then she started realizing like, oh shit, okay, maybe it's not that bad. But I would literally murder her if she became a stripper. I was like,
really?
Yeah, she is so just like young and innocent and like perfect in my eyes. I wouldn't like actually murder her. Like, let me say that for the record. But I would be super just upset. Just because the way that it's always been with me, I've always let her know like, whatever you need, I got you. Like, you don't need to be putting yourself out there like that.
Kodi, isn't that a little hypocritical?
It is a little hypocritical, but I get to be a hypocrite because she's my baby sister.
Okay. I got you.
But honestly, it's if she were to become a dancer, because she is like 19, so we've been having this conversation. She's in college, everything's expensive, she hates it, and I'm like, you know, it is on the table. That is a complete possibility for her to become a dancer. I just like, that's probably the same way that my older sister felt when she found out I was a dancer, you know, like ripping a Band-Aid off. But I would just want to be there to support her. I'd be really mad though.
Got you. So I mean, mostly it seems like you pretty much enjoy the work. Is there like, but has there been any rough times, any horror stories in the club, like anything that's kind of thrown you off?
I've just had like some crazy customers before. I had this customer that used to come in. He was my regular, like he would come in probably once a week for 2 years. Like, I literally saw this man all the time. And then he stopped coming in randomly. And then he came back in like maybe 4 months later after like not coming in for 4 months. And then he came in and I was like, oh, you know, what's going on? And he's like, well, my daughter died. And I was like, oh my God, like, fuck, I'm so sorry. And then he's like, but I basically just wanted to come see you because you remind me so much of her. And I was like, like that freaked me out a little bit. But like horror stories, I've never like had like any crazy horror stories. I've obviously had like, there's been nights or months where I've made like less than minimum wage, like tallied up together. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing in this industry? Like, but
yeah, That's crazy. I'm still stuck on the you remind me of my dead daughter thing. Like
Yeah.
that
And
kind
then
of
that
threw
just
me.
made it very awkward. I've had like a lot of crazy shit. I've had people like try and while I was had my back turned or whatever, tried going through my phone, they tried going through my purse, and it's like just I've had
Like
people look.
customers or like dancers?
Yes, customers. No, you see, this
Okay.
is the crazy thing. And I've noticed this a lot at my new club. Club Rouge is like a newer club for me.
Mm.
But for some reason, people are like they really want strippers to have beef. Like people will come in and they'll
Yeah.
be like, and this is a question I get asked all the time at the club. They're like, oh, who do you not like? Like, what's the stripper beef back there? And I'm like, what's crazy is that like we don't really have beef. Like I have beef with customers, but I don't have beef with other girls.
Right, right. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I mean, I see your tattoos. I see you pretty tatted up. What's up with that? Have you always been into tats or just
Yeah, I knew since I was a little kid that I was gonna be pretty covered in tattoos. I got my first tattoo when I was 15. I was
okay.
still in the Mormon church and everything too. I got it really hidden, but
Yeah,
I knew I was gonna have tattoos. Like not all of them are like super deep meaning or anything like that.
right.
Like some of them are genuinely just because they look cool. And I know
Okay.
some people don't like to hear that, but I'm telling you the honest truth.
Well, that's cool. Um, I wanted to ask you. So, I obviously before we do have this sit down at the champagne room, I like to do some research. You know what I'm saying? I did some research. It was my pleasure to do this research, but I'm just curious. How did you get into? Well, I know you do like OnlyFans. How did you get into what would you consider porn? Have you?
I would it's yes and no. I would consider it porn because obviously by nature the content that I'm creating is pornographic.
Mhm.
But I would never consider myself a porn star. My best
Okay.
friend, Cameron Canella, if any of you guys know her, she is like a legit porn star, has worked with Brazzers, has gone to the Pornhub headquarters, done all that
Mhm.
stuff. So she's what I would consider a porn star. For
Shout out
me,
Cameron Canella.
I love her. That's my baby. But for me, I think it's like I wish I would have started it in 2020. That's when everybody was getting on
Right.
OnlyFans because we were all
Right.
locked at home. And I used to be so against like internet content creation like that. Like I was like, no, I'm never going to be putting myself out online like that. And then I don't remember what made me want to start it. I started my OnlyFans in 2021, and the first month I made like $37,000, and I was like,
Hmm.
what the fuck? Like that's
Yeah.
just like a whole thing that I've just been sleeping on this whole time, basically.
Right, right. Yeah. So there's no turning back from that, right? Like,
No, and that's obviously it's not like that I'm not making
right,
37K every single month. Some months I've made
right.
more and some months I've made way less. Um, but it is definitely that is like one of the things I was thinking about, like the whole no turning back. I'm like, I don't know that I'm ever gonna be able to like I'm never gonna have a job that pays me as well as OnlyFans does. And it just like, it's gonna be big shoes to fill one day when I decide to switch careers.
Right. And if you were to switch careers, what would you do? Like if you were
um,
to get all the way out of just sex work in general, what would you be
oh,
doing? I
I
know you
was
said you got a my PhD in biology. Yeah.
yeah,
So
no, I have
what
just
would
a
you do?
bachelor's in
Just
biology.
okay, a bachelor's. Well, not
But I
just a
went
bachelor's.
for
It's a bachelor's. So
yeah, it's
right.
all I wanted was the degree. But yeah, I would definitely be doing something in the medical field, either nursing, be cool to just do. I went to school with a course focus in naturopathic medicine because that's really
Mm-hmm.
big out here in Oregon. So I really
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be like an ND, a naturopathic doctor. But I graduated college in 2019 and then just didn't go back because of COVID, and then just
Right.
never went back because too much time had passed and I've kind of lost interest. But if I was not in dancing, I would definitely be doing something in the medical field or
Okay.
maybe like buy my own club or something.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's the move. So which one do you prefer? Like the OnlyFans, the creating content like on the internet, or do you prefer the actual in person, physically, on the pole dancing? Which one do you prefer? Like if you had to choose one,
If I
like
had to
what would it
choose
be?
one, see, I think even though dancing isn't necessarily as lucrative as OnlyFans could be, I think I would still choose dancing because I really don't even need to dance. Like OnlyFans is a whole career in and of itself. I mean, I'm working full time all the time.
Right.
And But I like dancing because it adds like structure to my life. It like tells me like, hey, I need to be here from this time to this time. I love talking to people like so much. And there was a point in time when I just did OnlyFans for like 8 months. I only did OnlyFans, nothing else. And it was so isolating. And like, I genuinely love connecting with people, talking to people, and doing it face to face. Obviously, like it's just not the same on the internet. So I think I would pick dancing. I'm just
Really?
like
So
a
you like the connection, like to be able to talk to people. I've also I've heard a couple things. Is it kind of like a control thing? Like when you're up on the stage and kind of you got like how you said the guys are standing there and they might not be tipping, but what'd you say? You're staring at my cervix.
Yeah, staring
Like
at my cervix.
like you feel like they're kind of under a trance in a way, right? Do you feel kind of like a sense of power or control over these grown men? Like
I
what is
do.
that like?
You know what's crazy is I don't really feel it so much like when I'm on stage, because when I'm on stage, like I'm also just a performer at heart. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
I really don't even pay attention like when there's people sitting at my stage. But for me, I definitely get that sense of power and that sense of control when I'm doing dances, or like when I'm having like private one-on-one time with a customer.
Mm-hmm.
Because like earlier you were asking about horror stories, and I just can't say that I have a lot, because I think like I have like that certain sense of control when I'm in those situations. So I've never had anybody like really push the boundary with me too much to the point where I just
Right,
couldn't be like, no, I'm the one in control of this, you know?
right,
So
right. Gotcha. Gotcha.
definitely a
Okay.
sense of control.
Gotcha. What about like the aspect of these guys want you to be their psychiatrist. They want you to be they want you to be their shrink. They want to kind of maybe even kind of going back to the guy that you spoke about previously, like guys that come and like spill their guts to you and tell you how much they hate their wives and stuff like that. What is that like?
Sometimes it doesn't bother me, and this is gonna sound so strippery when I say this, but like the more you pay, the more I'm willing to listen. If you are just like dropping all these heavy, heavy, like taxing things on me, I like to be compensated for that. So like, for instance, I have a regular customer who's going through a divorce, and he comes in and he trauma dumps for like the whole 2 hours that he sits at the club. He'll pay me ahead of time, but then just trauma dump, and that's totally fine. But then you'll have some people who come in and they're just telling you these like really heavy things, or like things that I get that they probably want to get it off their chest, but I'm like, why are you choosing me to tell me this? Like, this
Right,
is like some things I don't need to be hearing.
right, right.
Um, so, but like sometimes it doesn't really bother me, like, especially if it's like something that I can connect with. I've never been divorced, so like I can't really connect with a divorce, but my parents were divorced, so I can
Hmm.
kind of help from that point of view. But like
Yeah.
if it's something that like I've actually been through and it's like something we can connect on, that's so much easier to do than just taking the trauma that somebody is just dumping on you.
Right, right. And are you in a relationship?
Yes.
Right. How maybe not not necessarily only in this relationship, but I know that you said you had a previous relationship where the guy actually cheated on you with the stripper
Mhm.
before you were in the industry. How have you getting into it? How has that affected your love life and just relationships in general?
Oh my God. I was single for forever. Like it's really hard to find people, like especially when you're a stripper. I think people, they love hanging out with you. They like going on dates with you, but nobody takes you seriously enough to like really want to settle down with you.
Hmm.
Um and I think a lot of the things like before the relationship that I'm in currently, I feel like a lot of people were just like they just thought that I was just fucking around, and like, but it's like
Hmm.
we also want to be in relationships too, you know? And like this is a job to me. Like I go to work the same way that everybody else goes to work. My work just happens to look a little bit different. And so for a long time it was a very isolating feeling, again, just feeling like nobody's going to take me seriously, or the people who do take you seriously are maybe like not the type of people that you would go for, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah.
So it really affected my dating life. I know it affects a lot of girls' dating lives.
Right.
Or you'll run into people who, like I dated a guy back in 2018. I had been a year into dancing, and he made me quit, and I did. I was like, okay, whatever, and I did. I went like 3 months without dancing. blew through all my savings, had nothing to show for it except for this shitty relationship. And I was like, that was what, like when I drew the hard line. I was like, if I ever quit dancing, it's going to be because I want to, not because somebody's making me, regardless how badly I want to be in a relationship or not.
Right. And then so you see these men, and some of them have wedding rings on, some of them are married. How does that make you think about it? Like, you know, you trust men? Like, do you feel like, oh, if I'm gonna get married, what's the point if he's just gonna be running around going to strip clubs and, you know, trying to pay for things? You know, like
I prefer them to wear their wedding ring and just be like, yeah, I'm married. Then like you'll see people who like I've watched this happen all the time. People will go to the bar and you watch them move their wedding ring over to their right hand, and it's just like, that is shady. Like, what are your intentions? Like, not only are you like lying on your wife, but like, I'm just at work. I don't care if you're married. I'm not looking at your ring finger.
Right.
But
does that provide any type of trust issues to see married men? And because I know there are relationships, there's a lot of relationships where wives and husbands might go to the club together, or they might not have a problem with you being at the club, but you know, some men are sneaking to the club. Does that like have a certain form of trust issues for you?
Totally. Like there's like, especially when there's guys that will come in, like I said, they'll wear their wedding ring and they'll say something like, or they'll be ignoring their phone. This is like the big thing. Their phone will be like blowing up and they're like, oh, I don't want to look at it. I don't want to look at it. And it's like that, like, why, how can somebody just be so shady in a strip club? Yes, this like obviously gives me horrible trust issues, because it's like, it's not like it's a brothel, like it's a strip club. I understand that some relationships are different, but like if my man was, or whoever I'm dating was like, hey, I want to go to the strip club, I'm not going to have a problem with that. I understand that in some relationships they will have a problem with that. So I think also it's hard for me to have trust issues.
Right. Why you say that? Why is it hard for you to have trust issues?
Just because it's like, I think like a lot of it comes down to like, you really can't trust anybody besides yourself. Like you can't take anyone's word as like 100%, you know? And so I feel like if you never place that importance on somebody else's word, then you never have to have trust issues. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like
that's a solid explanation.
Yeah. So
just trying to do the quick math. So you're about around 25, 26, right? Something close to there.
Yes, I just turned 27.
Oh, just okay. Happy belated. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I see myself, I don't know. Well, okay, I do know. I don't know as far as like the kids or married or things like that, because I've always been so wishy-washy when it comes to like, do I want kids? Like sometimes some mornings I'm like, oh my God, I want kids so bad. And sometimes I don't. So I don't know where I'll be like family wise. But in 5 years, I plan to own my own business, maybe be retired from dancing, but maybe not be fully retired from online content creation. Yeah. Okay. Living somewhere. I think I'm going to move out of Oregon eventually. This weather's really getting to me.
Yes, it's rough, especially this time of year when the weather just changed. We just actually had a beautiful summer. So,
it was a wonderful summer, and we keep getting like really nice days here and there, and then it just like turns to shit, and I'm like, I can't do that and if I was to have kids, I don't want to raise them in that. I get bad seasonal depression as it is.
Right. Yeah, it's terrible. I'm from Northern California, so I'm used to the sun like 90% of the year.
Yeah.
You know, so,
nice ass weather.
So this is different, but I mean, it's all good. I could fade it. So yeah, you said where you'll be in 5 years. Let me ask, hold on, I think we got a super chat. I'll read this real quick. From Lakel Bishop. Love the interview so far, but can we get some oxtails? Man, we'll get some more oxtails interviews coming up soon, y'all. Don't worry about it right now. We focus on the champagne room.
Wait, what is the oxtails? I'm curious.
Oh, so that's I do other interviews too. The champagne room interviews are more geared to like the nightlife, the club industry, sex work, and things like that. Just to kind of bring light, because as we've talked about, as we've discussed, there's a lot of common misconceptions. And you coming from a good family, born, raised Mormon, and then
I think
deciding to,
there's
and,
like
and then deciding, yeah. Go ahead, go
a
ahead.
lot of people think that we all come from like broken homes,
Mm-hmm.
and that is like one thing I want to say before, like, just to get that out there, is that like not everybody comes from a broken home. I dance with a girl whose parents are like multimillionaires. She's set. She just likes dancing.
Right,
I came from a very good home. Of course, my parents got divorced, but that's like the most traumatic thing that I can name that happened in my life. Like,
right,
I had a good childhood. So not everybody that ends up in this life is like a degenerate or had, went through some shit. Like, we're just normal people. So
right.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but like,
No,
yes,
no,
you're
it's,
so
it's
right
all
about
it's
the
all- it's
misconception.
all good. We can even dive into that. Like we've had these conversations a lot on here, and I've heard some crazy things where people are just judging what the type of person you have to be in order to be a stripper. Like they're like, you have to be mentally fucked up. No person in their right mind will take their clothes off for money. And I'm here. That's why I'm bringing you on today, because I want to debunk some of those things. I had the last one was with Willow,
I
and
love Willow.
she was explaining how she used to work at the Olive Garden when she was younger, and how degrading it was to work there. Being treated like shit and still have to serve the customers. Whereas
With a smile
in
on your face.
right, whereas in the club, if somebody's treating you bad, treating you wrong, you can get away from that. Like, nah, either, and if it's bad enough, have the bouncer remove them. You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
it's crazy. It's crazy when you think about that. Um, it was crazy in the chat. But yeah. So wanted to ask you a couple more questions. I know you don't got all night. We are enjoying the time with you, but we don't want to hold you up forever. Um, would you consider yourself frugal, or do you spend it as quick as you get it? Like, does money burn a
I
hole in
am
your
a
pocket?
saver. I'm a saver. I'm like a doomsday prepper. Like, I save all my money. I live, but okay, I don't want to say that in a way. Like, I still buy myself nice things when I like. If I want something nice, I like. If I feel like I've earned it, I will get my like. I wear nice clothes. I wear nice shoes. I drive nice cars. But at the end of the day, I'm like, I still have that like non-stripper mentality. Like, my dad still
Mm,
pays his bills by writing them and sending them in the mail. Like, he's very old-fashioned like that, and that's
mm,
like how I am in a lot of ways. I track all the money that I make, and I have to save and be frugal anyway, because um, like, so for dancing, like, we get paid cash, and so I can kind of tell the government how much money I've made. But for OnlyFans, they can see all the money that I'm making because it's going
right.
straight into my account and I'm getting taxed on it. So I have to save at least 25% of what I'm making, like, bare minimum, just
Mm.
for taxes.
Just to pay Uncle Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how is that? Just kind of thinking about that. Like, I know there's been some laws and things like that that are supposed to protect sex workers, but I've heard they're actually kind of harder. Have you felt any of that? Or does that not necessarily apply to you?
I don't think it affects me as much. Well, okay, so there's like the whole new Cash App thing where I think it starts next year. If you send or receive more than $600 on Cash App, they're gonna start taxing you for things like that. Like, in little ways like that. Like, I feel like I've been affected by like certain laws, but when I first started dancing, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but there was like that whole movement like FOSTA and
Yeah, yeah.
SESTA, and it was like they were removing Backpage. That was right when I started dancing. Like, everything, we were going into like all these like laws that were supposed to be like decriminalizing sex work in a way, but I feel like what it did was it made it like, and this is only, I can only speak from my experience because this happened like in the first 6 months of me dancing, but it felt like we took steps back. Like, it felt like it became very like horophobic. Like, everybody was like, we're back to hating strippers, we're back to hating sex workers. And I don't know. And I know, I understand that a lot of it is because there's like stuff going on with kids, like child stuff, like child sex
Mm-hmm.
trafficking or whatever. I understand that there needs to be laws in place for that, of course. But
Right.
yeah. But overall, I really haven't felt like that, like too much of a difference when it comes to laws and everything.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's different. I don't know. I just hear, I hear so many different outlooks on it. It affects other people just differently, depending on what you do. I had another question for you. What advice would you give at 18-year-old Kodi?
18-year-old Kodi. Shit, I think about this all the time because everything I do, I always say this, like everything I do is like healing my inner child. So if I could go back and give 18-year-old Kodi advice, it would just to be patient and persevere. I was like one of those kids, especially when I was a teenager, I was like real emo and like anything went wrong, I was like, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. And it's like just looking back at like things like that, I'm like, I wish I could just go back, give myself a hug, and be like, dude, it's not gonna be like this forever. Like, it sucks being 18, but that's because you're just figuring everything out,
Mm.
and there's still so much life to be had.
Yeah, for sure. So you said you had like an emo, like kind of like goth phase. You said it
Oh,
going through.
I still am at my core. I think I am, but I feel like it's not very like presentable, especially at Club Rouge. People aren't
Right.
really into like the tattoos are already like, whoa, some people can't stand them. But yeah,
Yeah.
I used to have my head shaved. I used to dye my hair blonde and shave the side of my head, and I have big stretched ears, tattoos.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. That's what's up. That's what's up. I got a question from the chat from Lakel again. He wants to know, where do you see the next evolution of sex work going with like all the tech and all the new platforms and stuff? Do you think?
I 100% think we are going to be having AI virtual porn where they probably like, you know how they have the Oculus? They're going to
Yeah.
have that, but like with a fleshlight, I think. And you're going to be
Right.
able to pick like different. I just think that, especially with AI and like us OnlyFans models, we joke all the time. We're like, we're going to be put out of business soon because all you have to do is AI generate some images and I mean, you can make anything with AI. So I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of it, and like that's another reason why I feel like clubs are kind of slowing down.
Hmm.
I've noticed over the last few years that I've been dancing is because people don't really want to go out. Like people like working from home and chilling at home. And so I think a lot of it is going to be geared toward that like at home persona.
So are you think, especially in a city like Portland, where so many strip clubs, I've heard it's kind of watered down, kind of desensitized to it. Could you see like strip clubs phasing out?
I think as much as I want to say like, no, I don't ever see a time where they're like where we don't have strip clubs or something like that. I think Portland would try and hold on to the strip clubs for as long as possible because that's like
Mhm.
what we're known for. We're the strip club capital. But I
Right.
feel like eventually it would just start becoming more like go-go bars or something. But obviously there's always gonna be strip clubs. But I don't know. Part of me wonders, do we just keep this going forever? Because you hear new strip clubs opening up every single year. And it's
Hmm.
like it's just crazy to me. So I don't even know.
Yeah. I sure hope not. That'll break my heart.
No, for real. I love going to the strip club. They have the best food at the strip club, like
Yeah.
good vibes. If you like our club, we show the games and we show fights and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So it's like if you don't want to pay per view and stuff like that, like I love going to the strip club. I hope they don't get rid of them.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, Cody, it was a pleasure. A pleasure to have you.
It
Thanks
was
for
so much fun.
thanks for your time. Is there anything that you want to say to the people? Anything you want to get off your chest? Anything you've been thinking about? Any stories you want to tell, or anything you want to clear up?
Um, no, not like I mean, basically just when you hear that a girl is this, I feel like okay, I want to get this off my chest. I
Hmm.
think the term stripper, as much as I love being a stripper and like it is what it is, I think it's like such a degrading term. Like I
Hmm.
think when people hear the term stripper, they automatically get this image in their head of like what a stripper is. And just like in every other profession, or in like humans in general, we're all different. And just because you had a bad experience with a stripper before doesn't mean you're going to have a bad experience at the next strip club or with the next stripper. So always just go in, like if you're going to go to a club or if you're going to approach a stripper or something, just go in with like an open mind and realize that like we're just normal people too. Like
Right. That's one of the common misconceptions. Like I said, a lot of people don't realize that dancers are just everyday people. Once again, just appreciate you for stopping by. It was a great time, great sitting down in the champagne room with you. Everybody, make sure you like this video on your way out. Like, comment, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Share this video with everybody. This is great information. I think everybody needs to hear it. So, good night, y'all.
Thank you. It was so much fun being here.
Okay. Kodi, could you hang on 1 second? Don't jump out yet. Okay. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all in about an hour because we got the graveyard shift tonight.
The graveyard.